Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu salam Rasulullah. We continue reading from Imam al-Ghazali Jawahir al-Quran with the jewels of the Quran and spares. And back to Surah Al-Hajj. And we said that we will deal with verses 12 and 13 at the beginning of this particular session. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يدعو من دون الله ما لا يضره ولا ينفعه ذلك هو الضلال البعيد يدعو لمن ضره أقرب من نفعه لبئس المولى ولبئس العشير. This is a description and related to the previous verse that we have explained at length. Someone who worships Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being on the verge of faith, if they are blessed with something good, they are content. They are content with it, with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed on them. But if they are afflicted with a trial, tribulation, adversity, they relapse into disbelief. Associating good faith or being or following or adhering or remaining in Islam based on what they receive and what happens to them during this period. And we said that this is about themselves, this is about whether their wives give birth to baby boys, whether their horses or camels give birth, etc. Such people, they have lost this world and the hereafter. And that's the clearest, the most manifest losers. This is why Yad'u, this is this same person who is on the verge of faith. He, of course, she, who calls others beside Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, associating anything or anyone with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or simply they simply worship other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that which neither harms them nor benefits them. That is truly the furthest one can stray. They invoke those whose worship leads them to harm, not benefit. What an evil patron and what an evil associate. Remember the story of Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam, the iconoclast who destroyed the idols of their people, that his people worshipped except for one, the greatest, of course, only in size, the one that they think he was the greatest amongst them. And he did not go, he did not join them in their festivities, and when they returned, they found these idols destroyed. They asked, who did it? Who destroyed them? And they remembered that this youngster, Ibrahim, he was still a youngster, Fata. He mentioned them not in a way that pleases them. Of course, he already criticized them, obviously, from the text. They went to him and he pointed his finger to the greatest one. بل فعله كبيرهم هذا. This great one, he was the one who destroyed the others. Now, this is a real loss. There is no win-win situation for them. If they accept his argument, they admit that they are. He was mocking them, really. if they accept his argument, then they accept that these idols do have movement, they do have will, they do have, but they know they don't. If they don't, then why they worship them? This is the issue. It's a lose-lose situation. They can neither benefit them nor harm them. When I lived in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, when I taught at the International Islamic University in Malaysia, I used to take the car to a mechanic shop, a car shop, and the Chinese, non-Muslim Chinese, who they had an idol, very small in size, that they hang on the wall inside the mechanic shop. And I did ask about this idol, in the sense of what does it benefit? They make it, and I was told by the owner that they put the idol on the wall of this mechanic shop simply because if they don't, other Chinese will not come to their shop. Not that they believe in it. It's more of a, they realize, they know that does not benefit them, but for some people, you never know whether they do. They don't benefit them, but you don't know whether they believe that they are of benefit. And in fact, amongst those who have in Christianity, they do have statues of Mary, of Maria Salam, Maryam alayhi salam. They have statues of Jesus Christ, peace upon him. And I remember a prominent Catholic priest. He said that he talks to him, but he did mention that he has a statue in what is described as a cupola, a small dome, and in a popular story of Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam, popular. This, I think, it must have its roots in some kind of biblical narrative, where Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam, Prophet Abraham, still during that period when he was still with his people in Iraq, and he, an old man in his 80s, came to buy an idol, a statue, and he asked him, how old are you? And he said that he was in his 80s. And he asked him, Sayyidina Ibrahim salam, how could someone who is 80 years old or 80 plus years old buy and worship an idol that is 1 day old? Simply because they used to make them, if it's from stone, it's hammer and chisel, and they just make you a god on demand. Take away. People shouldn't. They should be. And they should not attach themselves even to any idols. Remember when they say American Idol, Arab Idol, even on this level, they shouldn't. Because once they accept some people as idols, they follow them. And it runs against the notion of submitting to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one way or the other. إن الله يدخل الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات جنات تجري من تحت الأنهار إن الله يفعل ما يريد. Indeed, Allah will admit those who believe and do good into gardens under which rivers flow. Surely Allah does what He wills. These rivers in paradise could be they could be water, they could be milk, they could be honey, they could be wine, but not what we know. They will not intoxicate, so they will not harm you, they will not go foul, and they will not intoxicate. You know. Now we have a gap between what Imam Al-Ghazali's selections and the first selection and the next one. First selection being 11 to 14. We have just read. The next one is verse 32. But in between, we have a couple of verses, maybe at least 3-4 verses that I would like to highlight. I think the themes are important for us. There is Islam and there is other religions, of course. It goes without saying. And people are invited to accept Islam, which by definition, if they are Christians and Jews, and there are other religions, and I will mention in a minute, inshallah, by being Muslim, simply accepting the very last phase of revelation, the Qur'an, it entails believing in all the previous prophets, for example, Prophet Moses, and also Jesus Christ, peace upon him. We have 25 names of prophets that are mentioned in the Quran, and the Quran mentions directly that there are other prophets that the Quran did not narrate their stories. But this verse 17, mentions the Jews, the Sabians, the Christians, the Magi, and the polytheists. The polytheists, of course, polytheists of the pre-Islamic Arabia, who literally worshipped statues, idols. Sayyidina Umar al-Khattab, he said that he used to make his own idol, his own god, out of dates. I remember these dates. They are moist, they are sticky, and they could be molded into anything, literally. Think of it like an organic, edible Play-Doh. And he used to make his idol, and if things were not, if he were, whenever he felt hungry and there was nothing else to eat, he would eat his own idol, his own god, his own object of worship. And later on, if he has the budget, he would, of course, just make another one. People believe in totems and taboos, and they believe in so many things. Almost everything in the you cannot exclude anything from the possibility of being worshipped by the polytheists. In fact, at least it could be the influence of the Hanifiya, of that monotheistic faith that Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam brought to the Arabian Peninsula. That continued to shape the faith of people despite their polytheism, because they did believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And these idols, whenever they were asked about them, they would say to bring them closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now the Jews, we talk about essentially followers of Prophet Moses. So and the prophets of the children of Israel, of course. It doesn't mean that what they have right now, because we do believe as Muslims that their holy books have suffered from the vagaries of transmission, and I have pointed to this in so many lectures before. So sometimes it's a serious attributing grave sins to the prophets, for example. Lot alayhi salam, Prophet Lot, accusing him of having incest with his two daughters after the punishment that befell Sodom and Gomorrah because of homosexuality, not because of lack of hospitality. The same accusation in the same, not that to talk about incest in the case of Prophet King David, but still accusing him of being adulterous with a married woman who later on, after he sends her husband to the forefront of the army by design to get killed, and he married his widow, but already had an affair with her. So this is really part of what indicates there's something wrong. But also differences such as in Genesis, Eve eats first independently, sorry, the serpent, and then later on she introduces the fruit from the tree to Sayyidina Adam alayhi salam. Not in the Qur'an. The dual suffix pronoun indicate that we will never know, because the names are not mentioned in the story. Wherever it is mentioned, any part of it, we will never know who ate first, or who was expelled first, or what was the order of. We never know. We will never know. On equal footing, though the responsibility falls on the shoulders of Adam alayhi salam, and the warning for him that he will, if he gets expelled from paradise, from the garden, he will end up working, having hardship in this life, exerting effort, while that life in paradise or in the garden was a state of felicity, and he did not need to exert effort to make a living. The Sabians who are mentioned in the verse 17, إن الذين آمنوا والذين هادوا والصابئين والنصارى والمجوس والذين أشركوا إن الله يفصل بينهم يوم القيامة إن الله على كل شيء شهيد. Indeed, believers, Jews, Sabians, Christians, Magi, and the polytheists, Allah will judge between them all on Judgment Day. Surely Allah is a witness over all things. The Sabians, Sabi'in, As-Sabi'a, they are mentioned several times in the Quran, maybe 3 times. And there is a discussion in the Islamic sources amongst Muslim scholars whether they are people of the book or not, and this means whether Muslims could marry from them, Muslim men to be more precise. Muslim men can marry a Jewish woman, a Christian woman. Maybe there are, of course, not maybe, there are other conditions, and I know that some Muslim scholars prohibit marriage if such a marriage there are many other conditions to fulfill. Um but at any rate, it's also whether Muslims can eat their slaughtered um, animals, the animals that are halal for Muslims to eat. So some Muslim scholars, yes, it's okay, and some others really did not accept this position. And in general, also uh, there are other things. I'm not going to go into detail, but there are other things about what how either exactly like the Jews and the Christians. But I like the position of that states, especially when we talk about Muslim men going to the West, for example, Western countries, and they get married there. And they get married because simply they are interested in having legal papers to stay there. Also, for example, in the United States, just simply to get the green card. And they marry women whom they would never marry had they stayed in their own home countries. I've seen it with my own eyes. And they might be busy. I also know I met, unfortunately, I know, for example, a Palestinian who married a Latin American woman, Mexican. She has, in her own Christian faith, she has strong roots in her own faith, and she raised all the kids Catholic. So he was. I've been to his home. I know him. So the man might be busy making a living, ignoring this aspect of faith, not going to at least during the weekend, not taking the kids to the mosque, etc. This is one of the outcomes of such a marriage. So yes, you'll get papers, but beware. And also, when you marry, especially nowadays, that the predominant family, you talk about husband wife, one wife. So if you marry a non-Muslim woman, this technically speaking might be at the expense of a Muslim woman. And don't think that every Muslim woman is by definition, and not every Muslim man, not everyone who is born to a Muslim family is pious and moral, and that's another aspect. Now it is amongst Muslim newlywed couples today. It's about 50%, maybe a little bit more than 50%, the rate of divorce amongst newlywed couples here in Palestine. And it's because of the lack of faith, lack of spirituality, lack of clear vision. And I did hear, one young Arab woman speaking about, her future arrangement, about the wedding. Really, it's all about the wedding. It's not about the family. It's not about ethics. Not about morality. It's not about values. It's not about what kind of goals they will have as a family. What is that they will try to fulfill in their lives. She spoke only about what she is going to wear, and the other woman should not wear the same color the DJ is only reserved for her, that she did not invest all her time in selecting songs so that guests, women guests, would ask for specific songs. All these, it's all about the wedding, and the wedding will last only that much, a couple of hours, 1 hour, 3 hours. The next day, there is no wedding, and there are no people to cheer you. That's it. That's it. And people just simply will find themselves in a new reality that they did not prepare themselves. They don't discuss, where to educate kids in the future. Inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will grant them children. It's just like simply an absurd thing. It's what is it, what's in it for me, this marriage? It's not what I can contribute, hand in hand, shoulder to shoulder. The other thing that is the other category that is mentioned is here, that is usually not discussed, the Magi, the Majus, and we might be speaking about the Zoroastrians. We speak about the fire worshippers. We speak about those who. This is part of the literature about them. They believe in two gods, God of light, God of darkness. So their position. Did they originally begin as a monotheistic faith, and same thing like the Sabians, and they have went that far? But they do exist, and in general, in Islamic history, I think they and the Sabians, the Islamic State, dealt with them. I think the category will be sunnu fihim, sunnat ahl kitab. Treat them the way you treat the people of the book in practical issues. And again, the same thing about the whether one can eat their food. Some of our scholars in the past discussed this, and at least in one statement that it seems has been attributed to Al-Hasan Basri, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala a'la wa a'lam, he said that he would not eat what they have cooked, meaning meat, really. It's not about whether something is cooked or not. And he would have no problem eating, for example, bread or butter, or it could be yogurt or something like that, but not their slaughtered animals. So here we have these categories. One might add in the deen, from of course a different context in the Quran. إن الذين آمنوا والذين هادوا والنصارى والصابئين من آمن بالله واليوم الآخر وعمل صالحا فلهم أجر ولا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون. This the verse might be understood as containing salvific value. Okay, I know that some people do. This is not a very popular position, nor it is usually discussed. In fact, I think I have attempted in the not very recently to look for interpretations. It seems that some scholars glossed over this verse in the books of exegesis. And in general, I think one might say at least the following as a category. Those believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they believe in the oneness of Allah. This is the cornerstone of faith. That's really non-negotiable. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive every sin except shirk. That's not forgivable. That's one thing. They have followed their own prophet at the time, and they were true in the same way we talk about ourselves. We believe and we follow our own prophet, and it's a universal message, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we try to be true to our faith as much as possible. Remember that this is not about sinning. This is not about weaknesses. It's not about shortcomings. It's about faith. So if their faith, as long as there was no other prophet in the picture, so it will be something like this in simple words. So someone who believed in Prophet Moses, he or she is a believer. Jesus Christ, peace upon him, shows up in history as a prophet of God, as a messenger. Each one of them had a revelation, so the Torah and now the Injil. So people should believe, in addition to their original belief in Prophet Moses, they should believe in Jesus Christ, peace upon him. Now we have Prophet Muhammad, peace upon him, being sent as a Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose him as a prophet, as a messenger, with a message, particular message, the Qur'an. So all of the above, they should also believe in Prophet Muhammad, peace upon him. That's my understanding of the issue. But at any rate, the second part of the verse says, "Inna Allah yafsul baynahum yawm al-qiyamah." Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will judge between them all on Judgment Day. Surely Allah is a witness over all things. And inshallah, this is suffice it for this particular session. We'll continue with the other issues that we did not cover. The in between, in the gap between so verses 15 to 31, we still have verse 25 and verse 26. Inshallah, we will get to these at the beginning of the next session. Until then, subhanakallah wa hamdik, shada la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.